In this video, I will be going over the new exotic Briarbinds. I really like this. It's a little gimmicky maybe, but it has some really fun potential. Stick around to see what it can do, a build to utilize it, and a little PSA on how you can more easily get these new exotics in the future, even if it's not the Lost Sector reward. I'll have that for you at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. But first, if you like this video, want to see more, please share and subscribe, and I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get to it. So it's perk One with the Void. Your Void Souls have a longer duration. They also gain escalating damage and durability as they defeat targets. Now that damage goes up to about 300% from what I've tested. You can also retrieve Void Souls by interacting with them. Now, when you retrieve it, that refreshes your Void Soul availability cooldown. And so you can redeploy them, and essentially I've been able to juggle a Void Soul about as long as I have a target to apply it to. Actually, when I was testing, the thing that limited me the most was I couldn't find a target to apply the Void Soul to in time, and it just disappeared. Like, you can juggle these indefinitely. I got as far as 3 at a time, but really it's going to come down to, are there enough targets for you to keep deploying these to? So we've talked about what these can do. Let's get into the build now. Now, I think that this is a really nice pair because Traveler's Chosen gives you ability regeneration when you kill enemies with the Gathering Light perk. So when you consume it, you'll get melee, grenade, and class ability regen. Now, that on its own is great for a build where basically we're trying to get all of our abilities back as fast as possible. But the thing about this that until I looked at it, I completely forgot about was that this weapon has osmosis. So when you put this into a Void build, you're going to be able to make this weapon a Void weapon that then gets volatile rounds. And that is going to make this thing slay and give you so much ability regen. For super, I went with Nova Bomb Cataclysm, just the best AoE damage potential. Healing Rift, now I thought about going with Empowering Rift because they did fix the Child of the Old Gods healing, and when you're sending out multiple Void Souls, I think that from what I saw, healing is, stacking. So you're getting more and more healing as you're getting more and more Void Souls out. But the main reason that I decided to run Healing Rift with this was because of the ability regen. So if you're running Healing Rift, you're going to get melee and grenade energy from draining targets. And so that's going to allow this cycle to really just keep going. And of course, melee is Pocket Singularity. You're going to get a nice volatile debuff on targets with this. Vortex Grenade, because I'm also going with Echo of Remnants so that we can make this last longer, and Chaos Accelerant, so that you are getting these overcharged void grenades and you're going to be getting them constantly. And because of the mods we're running, that's going to generate additional ability energy, so it's just going to be stacking all over each other. I went with Echo of Starvation because, again, Chaos Accelerant, Child of the Old Gods. I could not go with Feed the Void in order to get the extra Devour there. So I had to sacrifice a Fragment for that, but it'll give you more than enough. Echo of Instability, so that defeating the targets with grenades, as we've said, gives volatile rounds to our Void weapons. Because of osmosis, Traveler's Chosen is a Void weapon that will benefit from this. Also, Echo of Expulsion, just to make everything pop. And as I mentioned, Echo of Remnants. Now, for stats, I went with Recovery because I'm trying to pop up the juggling potential of these Void Souls. if you're running something a little harder and you don't need to juggle as much as I'm going to be trying to do here, you could probably go for more resilient. You're probably going to get more than enough healing. Really, the recovery was just for the class ability regen. For our helmet mods, I went with double harmonic siphon because basically you're not even going to need to take Traveler's Chosen off with what we're doing here. I mean, you're going to need maybe the burst damage from a special or a heavy occasionally, but really, you're just going to be relying on this and destroying everything. And I also went with Ashes to Assets because we're going to be tossing a ton of grenades. We're going to be getting our super way fast. For the glove mods, I went with bolstering detonation so that we'll get class ability energy from those grenades. With the overcharge grenades we're doing, that will last long enough to get 2 ticks of it to really help the regen. Impact induction so that we can get our grenade back faster when using our melee, and because of all the grenades we're going to be throwing, I went with firepower to generate orbs on grenade kills. For our chest, you should just go with, I think, whatever resistance is going to help you survive. If you're really going for it, you could go for charge up to hold more armor stacks, armor charge stacks. Okay. For our boots, I went with Absolution so that we will get all of our abilities back faster, and all of them basically feed the regen of the others. Innervation so that we get our grenade back faster. That's one of the prioritized ones, obviously, with the build focus. And Insulation so that we can get that Void Soul back faster from our class ability regen. And finally, I went with Explosive Finisher, Powerful Attraction so that just casting our Rift nearby an orb gives you Devour and fully heals you, and that's just really nice in a pinch. And finally, Distribution so that all of our abilities regen extra fast. For the seasonal mods, it's really kind of dealer's choice because I'm not running scavengers. I mean, if you need more heavy or special, obviously go with Diviner's Discount. I went with Elemental Void Orbs, obviously, because that's going to give you a lot more detonation potential here. I recommend Communal Pickups so that you can get bonus damage if somebody else destroys your orbs. Refreshing Pickups so that if you can pick it up, you'll get even more ability regen, because hey, that's the focus of the build. You should definitely go with Monochromatic Maestro so that our abilities and our weapon damage will both help each other stack. So in the end, it feels like a little bit of a gimmicky, exotic, but it was fun. I mean, if you're looking for something a little different to try, maybe you're bored with other play styles, I don't think it's gonna ever really be meta. I mean, the Void Soul being able to deploy, redeploy, vamp up, maybe in a certain sandbox it has potential, but I don't really think it's ever gonna be meta. It's just fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you have fun with this. As I promised you, here's some information about how you can get the exotics, even if it's not the Lost Sector rewards. But first, again, if you enjoyed it, you're still here, please share and subscribe. I greatly appreciate you stopping by. Now, how can you get this even if it's not the Lost Sector reward for the day? Well, what you're looking for is a public event on Neo Muna that spawns randomly called Vex Strike Force Incoming. You won't be able to tell from the map, so you need to actually hover over the icon for the public event. And it's unfortunately not very common. And it's even impossible when the terminal overload and Vex incursion zones are in the same area on the map, unfortunately. You just kind of have to wait for that to cycle until they're different locations. but the public event will always spawn where the Vex incursion zone is. You've probably stumbled across it by accident. It's a pretty epic public event with a lot of yellow bars. You gotta take down strong Minotaur shields, and once that's all done, you're guaranteed to get an exotic. I got all three, and it was one reward per character, and I think it's per week. Thankfully, there are tools out there to help us with this, and the one that I used was the Vex Network Discord channel. In this assistant channel, you'll be able to see notifications for when the event happens. And so while it is random, if you have this enabled, you get those notifications, then you know, okay, let's pop over to Neo Moon and get this done. Big thanks to these guys, and I'll have a link to their Discord channel in the description.